In the fog-choked town of Red Pines, a respected woodworker is found brutally murdered in his own workshop. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, just one missing tool and a single broken cufflink left behind. As Detective Harper Lane digs deeper, she uncovers a deadly secret between two business partners, one drowning in debt, the other ready to walk away, and in this small town where everyone knows everyone. The killer is closer than anyone thinks. The storm clouds were still hanging low over Red Pines when the call came in. A thin layer of mist crawled over the distant pine trees, smothering the town like a damp blanket that refused to lift. I'd always believed Red Pines kept its secrets buried under that fog, but that was before I saw a man lying dead on the cold cement floor of his own workshop. My name is Detective Harper Lane, and in a town of barely 3,000 people, murder isn't common enough to get used to. But that morning, as I stepped under the strip of yellow tape fluttering against the rain, I felt the familiar weight settle in my gut, the one that told me something here was deeply wrong. The workshop belonged to Mason O'Doyle, a woodworker known for handcrafted furniture, custom cabinets, and a smile that made strangers trust him too easily. He was 47, divorced, hardworking, and until today considered one of Red Pine's good guys. Now he was a corpse. The sour smell of sawdust and varnish mixed with the metallic scent of blood. The lights were still on, humming faintly above us. Rain tapped against the tin roof like impatient fingers. Sheriff Dalton, my superior, folded his arms. "Looks like blunt force trauma," he muttered, staring down at Mason's shattered skull, and more than one hit. I crouched beside the body. Mason's hands were scraped, almost like he'd tried to defend himself. There were smeared shoe prints on the floor, not his work boots. Something on the far table glinted. "What's that?" I asked. Deputy Ramirez handed it to me, a polished brass piece with initials engraved inside. See, it looked like part of a cufflink. I slipped it into an evidence bag. Mason didn't own anything this fancy. Dalton sighed. "We'll have to see who does." But even before he said it, a name had already settled at the back of my mind. Travis Clark, owner of Clark and O'Doyle Timber Supply, Mason's business partner of 12 years. Their company supplied lumber to half the county. Their partnership was legendary, until recently, when whispers of financial trouble began stirring through town like dust in the wind. I stood and let my eyes wander across the workshop. Nothing looked forced, no windows broken, no signs of robbery. Whoever did this walked right in and knew exactly where Mason would be. Dalton rubbed his mustache. Think it could have been someone he knew. I looked at the blood, the splatter patterns, the murder weapon, likely a heavy woodworking tool, missing from the pegboard. Yes, I said quietly, he trusted them enough to turn his back. I arrived at Clark and O'Doyle 20 minutes later. The building sat at the edge of town where the forest thickened, its tall wooden sign dripping with rain. Inside, the warmth of the office clashed harshly with the cold news I was about to deliver. Travis stood behind the counter wearing a plaid shirt and an uneasy expression. He was in his mid-50s, tall, with a salt and pepper beard and a handshake firm enough to pull the breath from your lungs. But that morning, his hands trembled slightly. "Detective Lane," he greeted, his voice rough. "What brings you here?" "It's Mason," I said simply, his face drained of color. "Is he hurt?" "He's dead." The silence that followed felt thick and suffocating. Travis grabbed the counter to steady himself. "God, no. How, when? We're still investigating," I replied carefully. "I need to ask you a few questions." He nodded weakly and led me to his small office. Papers were stacked in uneven piles, and a ledger lay open on the desk. "When did you last see Mason?" I began. "Yesterday evening," he said, rubbing his temples. "We talked accounts. There were some disagreements." "What kind of disagreements?" He hesitated. "Money. Our last 2 supply deals fell through. We were stretched thin. Mason wanted to take out a loan. I didn't." His voice shook as he spoke, but whether it was grief or guilt, I couldn't tell. "And where were you this morning?" I asked. At home, my wife can confirm it. I nodded. One more thing. I placed the evidence bag on the desk, the cufflink piece pressing against the plastic. Recognize this? Travis's eyes widened for a fraction of a second before he composed himself. Looks like part of a cufflink, not mine. I don't wear them. But the flicker in his expression told me otherwise. Mind if we search your office? I asked. He nodded stiffly. Go ahead. His agreement was too quick, too rehearsed, and as I turned away, I noticed the faintest smear of something dark near the edge of his desk drawer. Something that looked like dried varnish. My instincts whispered, he's hiding something. But murder wasn't something I could pin on instinct alone. Not yet. Red Pines was the sort of place where gossip traveled faster than police cars. By noon, half the town knew Mason was dead. By 2, the other half had theories, each wilder than the last. I pulled into the station with a stack of statements, each one painting Mason as either a saint or a sinner. But the truth was, all small towns keep pieces of their residents hidden, Mason included. Ramirez appeared at my desk with a coffee. You'll want this, he said. Autopsy report came in. I took the mug and opened the folder. Cause of death, blunt, force head trauma, time of death, between 5:10 a.m. and 5:40 a.m. Signs of struggle, minimal. Minimal meaning Mason either trusted the killer or he never saw the first hit coming. I checked my watch. 4:52 p.m. Time to follow the money. Mason and Travis hired a freelance accountant every quarter. A woman named Evelyn Marsh, who ran her business out of her home office at the edge of town. When I arrived, she greeted me with wary eyes behind thick glasses. Detective Lane, I heard about Mason, terrible tragedy. You handled their financial books, I said. Anything I should know. Her lips tightened. Their partnership had been strained for months. Mason discovered irregularities, missing invoices, overdraft charges, but Travis kept insisting everything was under control. Was Mason angry? Angry? She laughed bitterly. He was ready to pull out of the partnership. That caught my attention. Did he tell Travis that? Yes. When? 3 days ago. Suddenly the financial feud wasn't just tension. It was motive. I leaned closer. Evelyn, in your professional opinion, was someone stealing from the company? She hesitated. I can't say that for certain, but numbers don't just disappear. Someone made them disappear, and that someone was either Mason or Travis, and Mason wasn't the one hiding anything. My pulse quickened. I visited Travis's wife next, Linda Clark, a fragile woman with a nervous smile and eyes that looked like they carried too many secrets. She invited me inside her neat living room. Mrs. Clark, I said gently, I need to confirm your husband's whereabouts this morning. Her fingers twisted in her sweater. He was here, most of the morning, most. He left around 5, said he needed some air, came back before 6. My heart thudded. Time of death, 5:10 to 5:40 a.m. Did he say where he went? No. Her voice cracked. Detective, is Travis a suspect? We're speaking with everyone close to Mason. I replied smoothly, but her reaction wasn't guilt. It was fear. A fear that seemed long. Standing, I stood. Thank you for your time. As I walked out, Linda grabbed my wrist unexpectedly. Detective Lane, please be careful with him. Her eyes were pleading. He isn't the man he used to be. I swallowed. Is there something you want to tell me? Her grip loosened. She shook her head. No, just be careful. A cold knot formed in my stomach. Back at the station, Ramirez approached with something clutched in his hand. You'll want to see this, he said. It was in a locked drawer at Mason's workshop. His sister dropped it off. A ledger, thick, weathered, inside page after page of financial entries, scribbled notes, and, on the last page, a short line in Mason's handwriting, Travis is lying. Need proof? I exhaled shakily. Everything pointed to Travis, but I needed evidence that could close the noose around his neck. That evening, long after the sunset swallowed the town, I sat alone at my desk, flipping through every number, every note. And then I found it, a coded entry labeled TC withdrawal $48, 700 unauthorized, money missing from the company account, enough to destroy trust, enough to spark a fight, enough to kill for. I didn't sleep that night. Tomorrow, I would confront Travis Clark, and I had a feeling he wouldn't go down quietly. By sunrise, a heavy fog had rolled in again, thick and consuming. Red Pines always wore fog like a second skin, but that morning it felt different, like the town itself was holding its breath. I drove to Clark and O'Doyle, the wheels crunching on gravel. The workshop door was open, too open. Inside, Travis stood near Mason's old workbench, staring at the unfinished cedar table his partner had been working on before his death. His shoulders were slumped, his eyes hollow. "You didn't call ahead," he said without turning. "I didn't want to give you time to hide anything," I replied. He stiffened, meaning. I stepped closer, letting the badge catch the morning light. "We found your missing financial entries, the unauthorized withdrawals. He didn't move, and we confirmed your wife couldn't vouch for you during the time of Mason's death. Still nothing, and you lied about the cufflink. We found the matching one in your home. That got him." His breath hitched. "Travis," I said softly, "it's over." For a long moment he didn't speak. Then he lifted his hands slowly, not in surrender, but in despair. "I never meant. I didn't want." His voice broke. "We were partners for years. He was my friend. What happened?" I asked. He sank onto a stool, rubbing his face. Mason found out. He whispered, "About the money, I took it to cover my debts. I thought I'd repay it before he noticed, but he confronted me, said he was dissolving the company, reporting me, so you killed him." I just wanted to talk that morning, to fix things, but he wouldn't listen. He turned away from me, said our partnership was done. His voice cracked. I grabbed the mallet. I didn't think. I just... His hand trembled violently. "The first hit, it was an accident. After that, I panicked. I hit him again and again. The workshop felt colder suddenly. Why try to hide it?" I asked, because I knew no jury would believe me. He whispered, "And Linda, she doesn't deserve the humiliation. Linda deserved the truth." I said firmly, "Mason deserved justice." He looked up at me then, tears spilling down his face. "You're right." I radioed the station. "This is Detective Lane. I need a patrol car at Clark and O'Doyle. Suspect is in custody." Travis didn't resist as I cuffed him. He only looked around the workshop one last time, his gaze lingering on the table Mason never got to finish. Travis Clark was charged with second-degree murder, embezzlement, and tampering with evidence. The court sentenced him to 35 years. Linda Clark moved away shortly after, leaving behind a house full of painful memories. As for Red Pines, the fog eventually lifted. Literally and figuratively, I visited Mason's workshop one last time before it was sold. The air still smelled of cedar. Dust motes danced in the sunlight. Small towns are fragile things. One secret, one lie, one betrayal. They're all it takes to crack the surface. Mason learned that too late, but I made sure his story ended with justice. Because in Red Pines, shadows may linger, but they don't stay hidden forever. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching video.